The little clock on the bedside table buzzed, a tiny angry bee. Maria's eyes fluttered open. It was still dark outside, the kind of dark that feels cold and lonely. But she wasn't lonely. A small warmth was curled up beside her, breathing softly. Leo. Her Leo. She gently pushed a stray curl from his forehead. He was her reason for everything, getting up when the world was still asleep, working until her bones ached, smiling when all she wanted to do was cry. She had to be strong for him. She was his mum, his only mum, and that was a very important job. She slid out of bed, her feet cold on the wooden floor. The house was quiet, filled with the sleepy sighs of an old building. In the kitchen, she made 2 bowls of porridge, adding a swirl of jam to Leo's to make a smiley face. It was a silly little thing, but it made him giggle every morning. She packed his lunchbox next, a cheese sandwich cut into a star shape, a shiny red apple, and a little chocolate biscuit for a treat. She knew he'd show the star sandwich to his friends at school. These small things mattered. They were like little pockets of sunshine on a cloudy day. "Time to wake up, sleepyhead," she whispered, tickling Leo's feet. He giggled and burrowed deeper under the duvet. "5 more minutes, Mom," he mumbled, his voice thick with sleep. Maria smiled. She wished she could give him 5 more hours, a whole day of just sleeping and dreaming. But the world outside wouldn't wait. The bills wouldn't wait. So she sat on his bed and sang his favorite silly song about a frog who wore trousers. Her voice soft and a little bit wobbly, until his eyes finally opened wide and he smiled at her. Together they got ready for the day. She helped him brush his teeth, making sure he reached the ones at the back. He tried to button his own school shirt, his little fingers fumbling. "I can do it," he insisted, his brow furrowed in concentration. Maria watched him, her heart swelling with a fierce pride. He was so small but so determined. He was just like her. She tied his shoelaces, her hands quick and sure. They were a team, her and Leo, a small team, but a strong one, ready to face another day, together. The walk to school was their special time. They held hands, Leo skipping beside her, pointing out every dog, every red car, every interesting-looking crack in the pavement. He chattered away about his dreams, about the Lego castle he wanted to build, about his best friend Sam. Maria listened to every word. This was the best part of her day. This small journey where it was just the 2 of them against the world. She hugged him tight at the school gates, a long, warm hug that had to last her the whole day. "Be good, my love," she whispered into his hair. "I will, Mum," he promised. Then Maria's own race began. She worked at a busy cafe in the city center. The smell of coffee and burnt toast was the smell of her day. She tied on her apron and got to work, her hands moving fast, taking orders, carrying plates, wiping tables, smiling at customers even when they were grumpy. Her boss, Mr. Henderson, was always watching, his face a permanent frown. "Faster, Maria, faster," he'd grumble. She just nodded and moved faster, her feet aching in her old shoes. She thought about Leo, about his smile, and it was like a secret shield that protected her. The hours ticked by slowly. During her short lunch break, she didn't eat much. Instead, she took out a small dog-eared book from her bag and read. It was a book about dragons that Leo loved. She wanted to be ready to read him the next chapter at bedtime. She imagined his excited face, his eyes wide as she described the dragon's fiery breath. Thinking about bedtime with Leo made the noisy, chaotic cafe feel a million miles away. It was her quiet little escape, a secret island of peace in the middle of a stormy sea of work and responsibilities. When her shift finally ended, she was exhausted. Her back ached, her head pounded, and all she wanted was to sit down. But she couldn't. She had to race back to the school gates. She had to be there on time. What if he came out and she wasn't there? The thought made her walk faster, her heart thumping. She couldn't bear the thought of him looking for her, his little face worried. She was his rock. And rocks don't crumble. They just keep going, no matter how tired they are. She had to be his rock. One evening after they got home, a letter was waiting on the doormat. It had a scary-looking red stamp on it. Maria's heart sank. She knew what it was before she even opened it. The rent. It was going up again. She looked at the numbers and they swam before her eyes. How? How could she find more money? She already worked every hour she could. She sat down at the small kitchen table, the letter trembling in her hand. For a moment the world felt too heavy. The walls of their little flat seemed to be closing in on her. Leo came in, holding his drawing of a big green dinosaur. "Look, Mum, it's a T-Rex! Roar!" he shouted, full of joy. He didn't see the letter. He didn't see the worry on her face. He just saw his mum. Maria quickly folded the letter and tucked it away. She forced a smile, a big, bright smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Wow, Leo, that's the best T-Rex I've ever seen," she said, her voice a little shaky. She didn't want him to see her fear. He was just a little boy. He deserved to live in a world of dinosaurs and drawings, not bills and worries. Later that night, after Leo was fast asleep, Maria sat alone in the quiet living room. The tiredness hit her like a wave. It wasn't just her body that was tired. Her soul was tired. She felt so alone. She looked around the small room, at the worn-out sofa and the dripping tap she hadn't had time to fix. Tears welled up in her eyes and rolled down her cheeks. It wasn't fair. She was trying so hard, so very hard. Why did everything have to be such a struggle? Was she strong enough to handle this? The doubt was a cold, dark whisper in her mind. She walked into Leo's room and watched him sleep. His face was so peaceful, so trusting. He had a little smile on his lips, probably dreaming of T-Rexes and star-shaped sandwiches. In the soft glow of his dinosaur nightlight, he looked so small, so vulnerable. Her love for him was a fierce, powerful thing. It was stronger than any bill, stronger than any worry, stronger than her own exhaustion. She wiped her tears away. She would find a way. For him, she would always, always find a way. She had to. The next day, Maria asked Mr. Henderson for extra shifts. She offered to come in on weekends to do the closing cleanup. He just grunted, but he agreed. It would be harder. It would mean less time, less sleep, but it would be okay. She would make it okay. That evening, she felt a new sense of determination. She wasn't just a tired woman, she was a warrior. She was a mum, and that was her superpower. She was fighting for her little boy, for their little home, for their future. That night, as she tucked Leo into bed, he wrapped his arms around her neck. "Mum," he said softly, his voice serious. "You're the best mum in the whole wide world." Maria's heart felt like it might burst. All the tiredness, all the worry, it all just melted away in that one moment. She held him close, breathing in the smell of his shampoo and his innocence. "And you," she whispered back, her voice thick with emotion, "are the best son in the whole entire universe. You are my star and my sun." He giggled. "That's two things," he said. "Well, you're that special," she replied, kissing his forehead. She started reading the dragon story, her voice strong and clear now. She read about brave knights and magical quests, and she felt like she was on her own quest. It wasn't about dragons, but it was just as important. It was about love and strength, and never, ever giving up. She was the hero of her own story, and Leo was her precious treasure that she was protecting with all her might. As she finished the chapter and turned off the light, leaving only the dinosaur nightlight glowing, she felt a deep sense of peace. The road ahead was still long and probably bumpy, but they were on it together, hand in hand. She looked back at her sleeping boy, her little hero. They had each other, and as long as they had each other, they had everything they needed. The sky might turn gray sometimes, but she knew with absolute certainty that the sun would always come out again. For them, it always would.